Good morning, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks.
So, we, of course, have been closed due to COVID-19 for a couple of weeks, and that has really put a little bit of a monkey wrench in our plans to help students move forward with enrolling in dual credit, dual enrollment classes with John A. So I'm really thankful that you were open to this idea to get together today to really do a recap of the email that we sent to those students on March 27th with a game plan to move forward for registration for summer and fall dual enrollment classes. In that email, we sent a flyer that was CCHS specific. The dual enrollment registration form was also in that email, and the student information update form that admissions will need. What we have noticed in the last couple of weeks is that students have really just had questions about how they can best get that information to you. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you today what the best course of action is for them to make sure they get enrolled into those classes, and then going through just a couple of other things that might help them while we were out of school to make sure they get all of the services that we and you would love to provide for them. So we'll talk a little bit, do a recap of that email, and then I know you wanted to talk a little bit about some services that you offer with degree audits and maybe touch on senior math, since our class of 2021 students won't have this opportunity to really see you in the school building. And then we'll get into some unique ways we've discussed today about how students can access turning their forms into a PDF to get them to you so they can get registered. And then, of course, remind students how they can connect with you. So I will turn it over to you to go back to that first question about, if I am a CCHS student and I want to enroll in a summer class at John A., what can I do today to make sure I get enrolled?
Sure. So when we sent that email, we sent a couple of really helpful documents with it. One of them was the frequently asked questions regarding dual credit. So it covers things like how does the waiver work? What am I allowed to take? How do I transfer credits to schools I'm looking at for after high school or after Johnny Logan? All of those questions are kind of answered in that little FAQ. So take a look at that, especially if you haven't taken classes over the summer or as dual enrollment before. We also sent the high school flyer, and it's specific to Carbondale students because it includes some dual credit general education classes that are available to you, which there's a lot at Carbondale. It also includes some good ideas of things to take that are extra. If they're in a green box, that means that they're program specific. So if you're interested in nursing or agriculture, something like that, it will have a green box around it that will help you know that it's only for certain majors. And then all of the other boxes are more general education things. So some humanities options that are popular, some fine arts options. We tried to cover all the different parts of the program guide to give you some ideas. And then we also put one specific box for summer. Mythology is a class that's really popular over the summer. It fulfills a humanities requirement, and humanities seems to be the type of class that students struggle to find that one they really want to take. It's usually a philosophy or a literature class. And mythology is a literature class that students really seem to enjoy, even if literature's not really their thing. So we always highlight that for summer. Um,
One of the classes, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am
it's
going
okay.
to pull it up here because I know
Yeah.
we have talked about it for the last couple of years since it became a course, is that ORI 100 course. And
Yes.
that's something that we've talked to our students about since its inception. Can you talk a little bit about why that is specifically a course they should consider for the summer, and how you've expanded that to try and meet their needs?
Sure. So ORI 100 is basically a college orientation class. And it does include some Johnny Logan specific information that will be helpful to you as you're taking dual credit and dual enrollment. So things like how to access library resources, where different departments are on campus, how you pay your bill, how you log into Desire to Learn, which is our online learning management system, how you check your vol mail, how you forward your vol mail to an email account that you check more regularly. We discuss all of those topics. And then there's a section of the class that's more college preparedness. So, how to make a good schedule, how to choose a college major, different types of financial aid. We specifically talk about student loans because that's probably the part of college affordability that's the most confusing, and it's a big commitment. So we want students to understand how that works before they're ever in a position to be borrowing loans. And then the last part of the class is more life skills. So time management, stress management, and other wellness topics, relationships and diversity. We cover all kinds of things that are just more helping in the transition to college and beyond. So the class does have a little bit of Johnny Logan specific information in it, but it's really valuable regardless. The reason that we're gearing this more towards dual credit students is because, I took orientation when I was a freshman in college. And at that point, I already needed to know about college affordability. And I really needed to have done a little bit more investigation on a career path. And some of those topics would have been so much more helpful as I was making college decisions rather than after I had already started. So we are offering this in the summer specifically for high school students. We did have some Carbondale students take it last summer. To make it easier, we do a block that is June only. We do a block that's July only. And then we do some classes that meet all 8 weeks in the summer. So we were hoping that for people that maybe had a lot of things planned at one point in the summer, but maybe had a lot of availability in July, they could still take the class. And then in the fall, it's offered as an 8-week block only. So it would just meet the first half of the semester. We changed it from being a 16-week class to being an 8-week class because we felt like you needed to know everything at the beginning of the semester. It would be most helpful to you. So you would meet for 2 hours a week for 8 weeks for that one. And then on the flyer, it has all of the days and times that it's currently available. And we will be opening some second block classes. So if August is not a great time for you and you'd rather start it in October, then we can get you registered for that as well.
So definitely, I think with the school closure, ORI 100 has always been an exceptional class to take in the summer, but especially now for those students, current sophomores and juniors to think about, because that information is going to be invaluable moving forward. Right. With the next year and the next couple of years and what those might look like.
Right. And it only costs $5, so that's helpful.
Yay!
The tuition's waived, and then the technology fee for that class is $5. So you pay $5. You do have to purchase the book, but you can get the book pretty cheap online for under $20 usually. And then we are working on an agreement with our bookstore for a long-term adoption of a new textbook for the fall. So it will be under $20 as far as we know as well.
That is great news.
Yes. Okay, so back to the email for just a second. So the other two forms that we sent were the registration form and then a student update form. For the registration form, we're just asking that you fill out the top of the form, and you can leave the enrollment information where you actually choose the classes. You can leave that part blank if you don't know what you want to take. And you can email that in and say, I'd really like to have a conversation by phone or by video with Rachel, and we can set that up for you. Or if you know exactly what you want to take and you don't feel like a phone call is necessary, then you can just say in the email what you would like to be registered for, and we will register you. And then the student info update form is really for our admissions office. There is some information that they need to capture just one time. So even if you have previously taken a college class through Logan, we're asking that you just this one time fill out that form and email it back to us, and then we will forward that to admissions for you. After you register, we send a follow-up email to you reminding you about drop dates. If you decide you don't want to take the class or you want to change your schedule, we attach your bill. So if you owe for any fees, you'll know about that up front, and it also has due dates on the bill. So we will send you some follow-up information after you register. And then if you have any questions, you can always schedule a phone call or ask us by email.
On that registration form, it does ask for a student email. I think would be good for us to mention here, if you have a personal email, please use your personal email. Don't use your school email, because that email will be entered into the John A system. And once you graduate, if you matriculate onto John A, you want them to use your personal email, not your high school email, which goes away after 6 months. So be sure to use your personal email.
Right, that's a very good point. Okay, so there's a little bit of information on this about degree audit. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second. That is something that I do with students that maybe have taken some AP classes, they've taken some dual credit, and they don't really know how far into a degree they've made it for whatever major they've chosen. They don't know how those classes apply. They don't know what they should be taking next because they don't know what degree requirements they have left to fulfill. So I can fill out a program guide. I can make it really generic if we need it to and just do an associate in arts. Or if you know for sure, say you're going to do a bachelor's of nursing eventually, I will fill out a pre-BSN guide for you that shows everything you've taken, and then that will give you some ideas about where to go next if you're looking for some online or dual credit options.
That is awesome. So if I have taken, let's say I'm going to be a senior next year, and I have also taken dual credit classes through CCHS, you'll be able to also put those on the form and kind of give me an idea how everything I've taken over the last couple of years will apply towards my degree.
Right. Everything that's been taken dual credit or dual enrollment, meaning you took it with a Logan instructor, all of that is on your John A. Logan transcript. So I can pull that up and see what degree requirements have been met and then what needs to be met still.
Great. So we talked a little bit before we jumped on about senior math at CCHS, and we do in-house offer 2 math classes right now. So I thought we might talk just a little bit about how the class of 2021 can use those classes towards a degree. So can you highlight a little bit of information on how each of these might apply to the different degrees?
Sure. So typically with math, there are 2 math tracks. So one math track is for students that are looking at STEM majors. So if you're interested in engineering or pre-med or something like that, you would take one type of math track. And then the other type of math track is for students that are going into more of like a liberal arts major. So maybe history or education even, or psychology, sociology, anything like that, you would go down a different math track. So for students interested more in the liberal arts type degrees, Math 120 and Math 113, one of those is the required math class. For a lot of majors, they just want you to have had a math. So if you're going into political science, Math 113 or the contemporary math fulfills the degree requirement for that. There are a few of those majors I discussed that prefer Math 120. BSN is one, so if you are following the pre-BSN guide, Math 120 is a great choice for that. If you're doing elementary education, for example, you would need some other additional math classes, but they also want you to have had Math 120. So it's safe if you're not exactly sure what degree you want to do to take Math 120 and Math 113, and then you're completely covered. And the only time that doesn't apply is, again, if you're looking more at a STEM math track, so you're interested more in like calculus and some of the higher level math classes if you're looking at a math or science degree. But otherwise, Math 120 and Math 113 are the right choices.
And if I am unsure about maybe which one is most important for me for next year, would it be wise for me to email you and maybe ask for a degree audit so that we can talk about which one I should be really focused on?
Yes, we can definitely do that. It doesn't matter what point you're at. If you are just in your first year of dual credit, we can do a degree audit just so you can see what degree requirements you need for the major you're thinking about. And then if you have made it further into dual credit and dual enrollment classes and you've taken a lot of things and you just don't know where you're at, or if there's another math class that you're going to need on top of what you've taken, we can look at that too.
Okay, great. So I think the last thing that we wanted to cover was how students send those forms to you, because that has been a concern with some students. And there are two options that we have identified. There may be more out there, but what we have found is if you have an iPhone, you can open the notes section of your iPhone and say scan document, and it will scan your document, your enrollment registration form and your student information form, and turn it into a PDF, which is really easy then for Rachel to look at and to get you enrolled in that class. If you don't have an iPhone, the Genius Scan app is also a free app that you can use to basically take a picture of your forms, and then it turns them into a PDF and you can email them to Rachel. So the biggest thing right now is filling out those forms to the best of your ability and scanning them in whatever way works best for you and sending them to dualcredit@jalc.edu. If you have any questions at all about classes or anything, put it in that email and the John A staff will be happy to connect with you to make sure we get you enrolled in these classes, even though we are not at school. Do you have anything you want to add or any last thoughts, Rachel?
The only thing would be, if you're specifically wanting to have a phone conversation with me, which I love to do, so please utilize that if you're interested. But you can email that dual credit, and Jenny, the other person in the dual credit office, will forward those to me. So I will get them. You don't have to email me directly. So anything that you have, whether it's registration forms, questions, requests for a phone call, anything can go to that email account, and then it will get forwarded if you ask for it to come to me.
Thank you. Well, on behalf of CCHS and the counseling staff, I want to thank you, Rachel, for taking time today to answer these questions for us and to just go over some of the things that the students have been most concerned about with the outing. And also thank you for being a part of their early college journey. We hope to see you really, really soon.
Yes, thank you.